Hi, I'm Kathy from Stitch It Together, and I thought I would take some time to show you how I would stitch out a border that doesn't have a corner. So just a border using QCT Pro 6 Pro with gold, because I have seen that question several times, and this was a struggle for me when I first started to. So I want to show you how I do it. Now, there may be another way to do this that I'm unaware of, but this really works for me, and I just wanted to share it with you really quickly. So you open up to borders and corners, and I have previously drawn using the marking tool. This is going to represent the border. So I already drew this in QCT, saved it. So let's just pretend that that is my border. And I am in simulation mode. So this is going to represent the sewing machine head. And if you've simulated before, then you know what I'm doing here. But let me just get started here. So the first thing that you want to do is in your border style, you're going to want to select none. And then you're going to want to go over here to your vertical and you're going to check that. And so now, if you were at your machine, you would move your sewing machine to the top left corner of where you want your border to be. And again, I'm in simulation mode. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to check that box here. And then you would go to the right side and check this one. And now I am going to use these placement nodes that I'm going to move anywhere. It doesn't really matter where on the bottom of the border. That's all I'm going to do because this is going to tell QCT where is what is the height of this border. Now notice that these lines are still going to be here and I can't get rid of them. And maybe someone knows a way to do that, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't know how to do that. But I always use this method and it works very well for me. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set margins. Now, I can unlock this and pick an outside border. I usually pick 1/2 inch and an inner border. You might want 0. I usually like to have an 1/8 of an inch. And you're going to see that you can, this gray line that QCT has drawn right here is the area in which it's going to set your patterns. Now, if you have a problem in the future steps, you can always try and set a left edge and a right edge. You could bring your sewing machine to the left edge and tap this right here and to the right edge and tap it right there. I usually don't have to do that, but once or twice when I've used fabric compensation, I did have to do that. And I really can't explain to you why. It must have been something about the pattern, but usually I don't have to do that. So the next step that I'm going to go to is that I'm going to get my patterns. And if you needed a center, you could certainly get a center, but I'm just going to pick one really quick here. I would go to a border set and let's just use this one. And I would open that on up and you can use autofill and you can change it just as if you had a corner. So if you needed to flip your patterns or edit any connections, you could certainly do all of that. But when you're ready, then you would select all. It's going to go to the next screen and notice that these are still here. And again, I really don't know how to get rid of these, but it's not going to sew that out. And if you needed to convince yourself, you could simulate or you could go to optimize. And again, it's just going to, what you see is what you get. And so you'll see it's not going to stitch out those lines in any way. You would say, okay. But now if you want to use fabric compensation, you can certainly get there now. And you will notice here that the first line that you can't see very well is this line right here. And you use fabric compensation. You bring your sewing machine right along the line that you want it to stitch. And when you get to the end of that line, you would select next. And now you only need to go down as far as your, oops, I said next instead of, there we go. You would only need to go down as far as your border is. You don't need to go any further than that. And then you would just skip this next one right here and go on to this one, your horizontal at the bottom. And again, you would skip that one, you'd go to this one, and you'd only need to do this section right here. And when you're done, you would select OK. And now you've used your fabric compensation, and you would just pull your bobbin and stitch as normal. So that is how I do use the gold feature of borders and corners, because you get that night, you can use fabric compensation and you can set up those margins. So that's how I use it. And I hope this helps you in some way. Thanks for watching.